Hey YouTube, it's Guy. I am coming at you today with a watch review video, sort of a follow-up to my last video. If you follow the channel regularly, you'll remember that my previous video was on this watch on the left, the Casio F91W. When I was reviewing that video, I mentioned that there are a number of variants available that are more or less the same watches with different features and maybe different cosmetic looks to them, in the F line. So I wanted to take a look at one of those variants, and that watch here is the watch on the metal band on the right. That's the Casio A168W. Now, both of these are very inexpensive watches, as I had mentioned in the F91 video, sub $20 watches. So the quality that you can expect from a watch in this price range is not going to be, outstanding high-end watch quality. That said, for the price, these are some really good watches. Now, specifically what I want to talk about again is the Casio A168W. It is very, very similar to the black resin-strapped F91W, but there are a few differences, and in my opinion, if you like the aesthetics, that is the metal bracelet and the it's not actually stainless steel, but the stainless steel looking high polished case, I think it's a little bit of a better option if I'm being honest. So I'm going to go ahead and take the F91 off the table, and we'll take a closer look at this A168W. The Casio the Casio A168W is more or less the same specs as the other F series watches. It's just a variant on those watches. It's got a case size that is 37.5 by 33.5, and it's about 9 to 9.5 millimeters thick. So that, most watches, because they're round, they'll just say it's a 38 millimeter case, but since this is sort of squared off, the specs that they give are 37.5 by 33.5 millimeters. It's very small in size, and that was one of my gripes about the F91W in my previous video. There's a lot of stuff that I like about it, but it is very small on my wrist, and I have, not a huge wrist. My wrist is maybe only a 7-inch wrist. But that said, it is what it is. So that's the size. The upsides to this watch. It runs on a CR 2016 battery, so obviously it's a digital quartz movement, and as such, it's extremely accurate. Its advertised accuracy is plus or minus 30 seconds per day, and it should run 7 years on one battery. So that's nice. There are a number of modes. There's standard timekeeping mode, which it's in right now. There's an alarm, stopwatch, and then the mode to set the time, which we'll take a look at all of those in a little bit of detail. There's a full automatic calendar. The watch is water resist, though I can't find an advertised depth to which it's water resistant. I would guess no more than 30 meters, so basically you're not going to want to get this watch wet, really, other than some minor splashing. With the caveat that it's extremely inexpensive, so if you do submerge it and it happens to break, replacing it's probably not going to be much of an issue. The time can be displayed in a 12-hour or 24-hour format, and one nice upgrade on this watch, and you can see it at the top there. It says, right below the Casio logo, it says ElectroLuminescence. What that means is there's a lighting panel that backlight illuminates the entire face of the watch. If you remember me talking about the F91W's light functionality, it's very lackluster. It would only light up the left-hand side of the face of the watch, and while it was bright enough to read it in the dark, it wasn't a very good light. On this watch, if you push the light button, and I'm not sure this is going to show up very well on my studio lights, but the entire face lights up. You can read it in pitch black with no problems, just by holding in that button. I wish that, like on the G-Shock that I have, when you push the button, it stayed illuminated for 2 or 3 seconds. This one just immediately turns off. But Still a much better light functionality. Other features about this watch, I believe I had mentioned the fully automatic calendar. I believe you do have to adjust it for leap years, but otherwise it should be pre-programmed for the correct day for your normal calendar. And the other big difference is, the case and the band. This case is not real metal, and you can see, even though it's not, it does pick up fingerprints quite readily. But that said, it is a plastic or resin case. It's got some sort of, coating or something. I'm not exactly sure what materials it's made out of, but it looks like metal to a glance. You can't really tell. It's when you feel the heft of the watch that oh, that's not real metal. It's obviously some sort of coated plastic. And then there is the strap, or technically the bracelet is a metal bracelet as opposed to the resin strap on your F91 series. So we'll take a quick look at those side by side, kind of up close, so you can see the differences. Again, this F91 on the left is completely plastic or resin or polymer, depending on what you want to call the material. The straps versus the metal bracelet is very different. But otherwise, same size, basically the same features, other than the light on the A168W on the right being much, much better. It's more or less the same watch. That said, for my money, if I'm going to wear one of these regularly in, day-to-day life, I think the 168W wears much better. I don't know why I feel this way, but as I had mentioned, the F91W is just really small on the wrist, and while these are basically the same dimensions, for some reason the A168W doesn't feel inappropriately small when I wear it. So I can't really explain why I feel that way. It's just, when I put it on, I know that I like the way it fits, the size it is on my wrist. And again, they're actually the same dimensions. It's something about the way that it's cosmetically, it just works for me better. Your mileage may vary. You may disagree with me. I can't blame you. I'm just basically giving you my opinions. So, like the F91W, this has, again, 4 modes. You have your timekeeping mode, which is in right now. It has the day and the date, and then your hours, minutes, and seconds. And you can switch it to a 24-hour mode. So right there, you can see it's 12:07. I don't know how do they say that in the military. I don't know. You'd say 0700 would be like 7 a.m. What would you say for 12:07? I'm not exactly sure. But by pushing that button, you trigger 24-hour mode. So yeah, that's one feature in the timekeeping mode. Now, the lower left-hand button switches modes, and by clicking it once, we go into alarm mode. In alarm mode, we have a couple of options, which I sort of glossed over in the F91 review, just because I don't use them and I didn't really think about it. But you can set an alarm, and at one time per day, it will chime for 20 seconds. So if you set the alarm for 2 p.m., at 2 p.m. for 20 seconds, it's gonna chime at you. You can also set an hourly chime, so that every hour on the hour it chimes once, and you can have either alarm functions turned on or both of them turned on. So that's how the alarm works on this watch. The next mode is stopwatch mode, and the stopwatch is great. It's accurate down to like 1/100th of a second, 1/100th of a second, and you can time stuff for, I think, just 1 hour, 59 minutes, 59 seconds, and 59/100ths, I guess, technically. Functionality, it works, it's very simple. You push the start-stop lower right-hand button, and the alarm goes off, the stopwatch starts. The light the light button is the lap functionality. So as it's running, you can push that, and it gives you your split time. You could take note of that, write it down on a piece of paper, and then when you push it again, it starts back up where it would have left off. That doesn't stop the timer. It's just pauses the display so that you can take note. To actually stop the timer, you push the lower right start button again, and then the light button will function as the reset. And when you push the mode button, it'll take you back to timekeeping mode. If you don't use the stopwatch as you're cycling through the modes, the final mode, we go past the stopwatch is the mode where you set your day, date, and time. I'm not going to mess with it right now because I have mine set where I want it. Trust me, it's very easy. You can just set the hours, minutes, you can set the day, date, and you can reset the second counter. So if you were like trying to sync this up to a known time source, you could keep pushing one of the buttons to reset that seconds to back to 0, so it wouldn't lap over to 12:11, for example. Pushing the mode button exits back to standard timekeeping mode. So it's exactly the same as the F91 as far as the functionality of the modes. Mostly the differences are the aesthetics, and like I said, one of the main, most of the differences are just aesthetics, aside from one of the main things which I've already talked about, which is that electroluminescent panel that lights up the entire face of the watch. So in the dark, it's very, very legible. And again, I don't know how well this will show up in my lighting, but when you click it on, you see how the entire dial lights up. Now let me bring the F91 in just to show you for the difference. Now when I push the light button on this watch, I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it. Look at the left side of the dial. You see that light on, off, on, off. There's just a little bit of green illumination over here on the right hand side of the dial. My lighting is very, very bright, so it's probably not going to show up well. Maybe if I catch it at this angle, you see that light in there lighting up. That's it. That's all you get from this. And again, you can read the watch in the dark. It's not like it's unusable or anything, but the electroluminescent feature of this A168W is extremely much better. And that's the big thing. On the branding on it, you can see it says electroluminescent. On the bottom of the face of the dial, it says illuminator. So that's like the branding, or the how they're selling this particular model is by hyping up that lighting feature. And it's good. It's very, very good, if I'm being honest. The other main difference is obviously this metal bracelet, and it's also very easily adjustable. The way that it adjusts, well, first let me show you how it works. Before the bracelet, I'll give you a quick look at the back of the case. The case back is basically the same as the F91, which, if you watch that video, this is not going to be anything really new, but you can see it's got Casio, the model number A168. I don't know why it doesn't say A168W. That's what it's marketed as on their website. Stainless steel back, water resist. This one says made in China. I believe the F91 said it was made in Thailand. Let's take a quick look at that one. Yeah, made in Thailand on the F91W for some reason. At least my A168W, made in China. And then at the very bottom below that it says DH. No idea what that stands for. Also, the case back is held down by 4 screws at the northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest positions. So if you need to get in there to change the battery, you're going to need a very small screwdriver, precision screwdriver, to get that case back off. So yeah, what I wanted to show you now is the bracelet. Now the buckle is very easy to use. You see it has this little hook on this side, and then on the opposing side, there's where it hooks on, right there. It's hard to do through the viewfinder, I'm kind of fumbling, but right there, there's a little bar. So you hook that hook into the bar, and then snap that down. And you have this little bit of extra bracelet, because as you resize it, you're not removing links from the bracelet. You're moving the buckle around on the bracelet, so you don't have to take it to a jeweler or a watchmaker to have the bracelet resized, or if you are the type of person that resizes your bracelets yourself, you don't have to buy special tools to do that. To unhook, and also the buckle does have a sign, little Casio logo there, if you like that stuff. I mean, I don't know, figured I'd show it to you. To unhook the buckle, you gotta snap it, and it's a little snug. You need a little bit of a fingernail. Pull it back and just kind of take it off of that little bar there. To adjust, the buckle to make it bigger or smaller, you slide this piece around. And the way you do that is you need I use a small flathead screwdriver, but you need something to pry with. So this is, actually let me show you this tool. This I bought from Home Depot, I believe, or Lowe's, I forget which. It's either Lowe's or Home Depot, whoever makes Husky brand. This little tool, you take the back off and it comes with multiple bits, and the bits have a small Phillips side or a flathead side. So this is a nice little tool to have if you work on watches at all. So anyway, you need a small, you don't need it doesn't need to be a flathead, I guess, but this is what works best for me, is you get a small flathead screwdriver, like what I have here, and you put it in this hole, and you just kind of flip it. And once you flip that little bar up, no, I don't think I got it. I'll try it again. There you go. You flip that little piece of the clasp up, and now this gizmo will slide around anywhere you want it to go. So it's just trial and error. You figure out, I'll try it here, snap that back down, and try it on your wrist and see if it fits. If it does, great. If it doesn't, you make it a little tighter, a little looser. So yeah, it's very, very simple to resize. It's just a matter of moving that little piece of the clasp around. Speaking of if it fits, it probably won't fit me anymore now that I just changed it, but I'll give you a quick wrist shot. So let me take off my current watch that I'm wearing and get that Casio on my wrist for you to take a look at. Alright, so yeah, it's a little bit too big for my wrist now. I made it too big, but for whatever reason, I feel like doesn't look small or out of place on my wrist. For some reason, it looks just right. Whereas again, the F91W, it just feels too small for me. I don't know why. I can't explain it. It's really quite weird. But yeah, this is a nice look, I think. I mean, it's a very retro throwback design and styling. It's sort of gaudy almost. I mean, it's obviously a cheap, inexpensive watch. It looks it, but for whatever reason, I find it appealing. I can't really explain it. The links of the bracelet, they don't gouge into my skin or tug on my arm hair or anything at all. It's good. It works out just fine for me. So yeah, I recommend, if you want to get an F series Casio watch, this is the one that I recommend, assuming that you like the aesthetics. I think in my opinion, it's better, particularly that light. Now, in regards to this bracelet, it is cheap. I mean, it's lightweight. It's kind of like it clinks and makes a lot of noise. Don't be mistaken by the fact that this is a metal bracelet. It's not high quality. It's a $15 or $16 watch. In the terms of you get what you pay for, you absolutely do with this. That said, it's, again, not uncomfortable. It just feels really lightweight. It's a little squeaky and clinky. If you were to bend it too hard, you could definitely, or put too much force on it, you could definitely bend it. It's very, very, I don't want to say low quality, but I guess there's no other way to describe it. Just because it's low quality, though, doesn't mean that it's bad. I still like it. Something about it. So yeah, basically that's it. I'm gonna get this off my wrist and go ahead and we'll do our closing thoughts. Alright, so my closing thoughts on the Casio A168W. One of the things that I asked, or sort of posed the question, in the original Casio F91W video that I did, was sort of like, if someone asked me, should I buy this watch, what would I say? And basically what we sort of came up with is like, yeah, I would say go ahead and buy it, but mainly just because it's so inexpensive, and for the price, it's decent. The The real question is, if you have a collection of watches, where does this fit in? You know what I mean? Like, when would you wear it, under what occasions, and for what purposes? For the F91W, when I would wear that watch, like when I was exercising, or just needed a stopwatch functionality. You know, I needed access to that. Generally, again, when I'm exercising and I want to time how long my workout is. Maybe if I went to the gun range or hit golf balls, or was doing an activity where I didn't want to risk my mechanical watches getting jarred or dropped, or be subjected to any sort of like a firearms recoil or the G-forces of swinging a golf club, or maybe you go to a batting cage and you hit some baseballs. That's when I would wear that F91W style watch. This one is kind of a little, almost, it's not dressy, let's be realistic, but it's not super sporty either, because it doesn't have the resin watch band and the totally black aesthetic and the, you know, plastic case and everything. It's not the same kind of sporty watch. So when would this fit into your, you know, daily wear? I'm not really sure. I just kind of wear this one once in a while, once in a very, very long while, when I'm feeling like, it's cool and it's nostalgic and I just like it. But it's not often. That said, I'm probably not ever going to get rid of it. It's just, unless I give it away as a gift or something. I like it enough that I ever so occasionally wear it. And you can wear it anywhere, I guess is the point. This one doesn't need to be delegated to a specific occasion. You could wear it to work, in an office, or if you were, you know, a guy that got a little dirty, you had a blue-collar job, you could wear this. You can basically wear it just about any time, other than maybe if you were going to a black tie event, you know what I mean? So, whereas with the F91W, I might only wear it on certain occasions where I'm doing some sort of sport-like activity. This one, I feel like you could wear it on those occasions, plus almost any other occasion that isn't extremely dressy. But because it isn't a really nice looking watch, because it's not a really nice high quality watch, it just doesn't find its way onto my wrist often. But you can't beat the price, and it is still pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, this is Guy, and that's my thoughts on the Casio A168W. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that like button for me, and if you feel like it, maybe even give the video a share. Down in the notes description section below this video, you'll find links to my social media pages if you want to support the channel. There's also a link to my Patreon account, and I'll have links to the A168W, this watch here, on Amazon, and also I'll put a link for the F91W. If you want to buy these watches and you click through my associate links down there, I'll get a small commission, which helps out the channel, helps me raise money to buy more toys to review. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this review, and we got lots and lots more content coming up here in the near future. So stick with us. All right, bye.